This dude crashes into a car and instantly decides to pretend he has amnesia to clap this cute girl while his own girlfriend is away on holiday. The movie opens up with this girl Becca talking about the history of Valentine's Day, and she's all positive like, yay for love. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell. Each subscribe makes me smile and I make you clap even more. Anyway, our main girl Zoey thinks differently, and she's not a big fan of love and says that is bullshit. Love is fake and you guys should log on to my app instead. It's a dating app that measures compatibility ratios, and everyone is like, you suck, Zoey. Anyway, she leaves the class and meets her friend Elle, who writes poems, and they both talk about their day. Becca from class meets up with Zoey and calls her a loser. And then Zoey suddenly gets blasted in the head by a ball, and this popular school guy, Zach, runs up and apologizes. He and Zoey share a little moment, then he leaves. Elle talks about him dreamily and suggests that Zoey and Zach will be good. Zoey says that they will have zero compatibility. Next, we cut to Zoey in a class with a group of app developers, and then Zoey suddenly remembers that she has a lecture to attend and rushes to see a lecture by a woman she admires, who advises the students to make strides in the tech world with people they care about. She answers Zoey's question about her greatest accomplishments. Then a guy in the back asks what is her opinion on romanticism, and she says she values it. Turns out the guy who asked the question is also a cynic who doesn't believe in romance. So he gives the biggest speech about romance being a modern invention and quotes one of Zoey's favorite authors. Zoey is super impressed and chases the dude after the lecture, but she can't catch up to him. In her room, she is nauseated as Elle watches Notting Hill, and Zoey makes fun of rom-coms. She gets a call from her mom, who is also rom-com fanatic, and Zoey's mom and Elle make fun of Zoey. Elle tells Zoey's mom that she's watching the kids of her professor, and Zoey's mom tells her she's excited for them to hang out over the weekend. After the call, Zoey tells Elle about the guy at the lecture and how they had a lot of things in common, and Elle makes fun of the fact that she's actually has a crush on somebody. Next, we see Zoey at the bookstore where she works, and Zach, the soccer player, walks in to find a book on a video game he plays called Battletoads. Zoey tries to order the book for him online and points out that book is for idiots and dummies. But Zach gives her his credit card to pay for the book and forgets it as he exits the store. Zoey chases after him to return the card. When she gets his attention, Zach fails to notice the car that runs into him, and Zach smashes his head to the ground. Zoey runs to his side as the car driver calls 911. She gives Zach mouth-to-mouth, which is very uncomfortable for her, and Zach starts breathing. The 911 operative talks to Zoey, and she says her name. The disoriented Zach smiles and kisses her, calling her Zoey, as if she is his girlfriend. The ambulance arrives and Zach asks Zoey to come with her. They get to the hospital and it's revealed that Zach has amnesia, which explains why he thinks Zoey is his girlfriend, whose name is also Zoey. Very smart move, my dude. This is corroborated when Zach's parents, the McLarens, arrive at the hospital, and they also think that this Zoey is Zach's girlfriend because they haven't met the other Zoey yet. So they invite our Zoey for the dinner. The doctor says that Zach shouldn't use a screen for a while, and Zoey calls Elle to fill her in. Elle, who is babysitting the kids, tells Zoey about the other Zoey, that she's also a soccer player. Then the doctor comes and advises her not to put Zach through any kind of stress and stuff for his recovering brain. So Zoey decides to go to the dinner and tell Zach's parents the truth afterward. Meanwhile, the other Zoey is in the Bahamas with her family, and she's pissed that Zach isn't answering her calls. He is blessed with amnesia to get rid of such a freaky girlfriend. At the McLarens, Zoey meets Zach's younger sister, Avery, who tries to take advantage of Zach's memory loss. Zoey meets Zach's parents and tries to tell them the truth, but as she's about to, that guy from the lecture walks in. Turns out he is Zach's cousin, Miles, from MIT, and he came visiting them for the weekend. What a lucky weekend. Zoey decides not to say anything because she wants to clap that dude, Miles, or getting clapped, better to say. During the dinner, Zoey notices that she and Miles eat their foods the same way and they have a lot of things in common, like the fact that Miles is studying computer science and they're both really good at trivia. After dinner, Zoey gets invited to a skiing trip with McLaren's. Elle urges her to go. 1. So Zach isn't stressed. 2. So she can hit things off with Miles. So she's advised to pretend to be the other Zoey, at least for the weekend, to get clapped. Zoey goes back home and starts packing. She gets a call from her mom, who is occupied for that weekend. And Zoey tells her that she's going skiing and she's stoked. She starts packing books and Elle tells her to ditch the books and give her one of her sexy bathing suits. Zoey keeps second guessing going, but Elle urges her to go on the trip to get clapped. This is a one-lifetime chance. Meanwhile, the other Zoey is still overreacting about Zach not answering her, and she's being a total freak. Next, Zoey and McLaren's arrive at their rented house and they decide to go skiing, leaving Zach behind with a book. Zoey says nervously that she hasn't skied in a while, and Miles reassures her. At this ski resort, everyone is geared up and ready except Zoey, who doesn't know how to put on the gear. The rest of McLaren's leave, while Miles offering her a helping hand. After that, they meet up with McLaren's and Zach says his memory will be back soon. Yeah, if I pretend that my memory is lost, then I can say that if it comes back soon or not. Zoey calls Elle and fills her in on her day. Elle is happy for her and urges her to keep going. Then Elle goes to answer her doorbell. She meets a Spanish delivery dude, sexy, handsome, who delivers food, and they start flirting. And hormones get out of control, so the rest is the history. Then we find Zach trying to watch a movie with Zoey, but she doesn't want to watch any rom-coms, and Miles seems to share her disdain. The family ends up playing trades, and Miles and Zoey makes a good team. Zoey says she wants to use the hot tub, and Avery opts to join her. Avery and Zoey are in the hot tub, and Avery warns Zoey not to hurt Zach. And then they're joined by Miles. Avery leaves to go get marshmallows, and Miles takes off his t-shirt, and the dude, oh god damn, he is ripped. Then he starts telling Zoey how good of a match they make, and they start making out. Then they get interrupted by Avery. She just told her not to hurt Zach. The next morning, Zoey meets Zach and his parents, and Zach tells her that Miles is talking to his girlfriend. Turns out he has a girlfriend, and Zoey is pissed. She meets up with Miles and he tells her that he and his girlfriend are poly. He just wanted to hook up with Zoey. Zoey is hurt and storms off. After that, she and Zach chill on the couch, and the rest of the family leaves for more recreation. Zach is surprised that Zoey chose to hang with him, but they decide to play games. They start with chess, which Zoey beats him a lot of times until they finally have a stalemate. Then they play Jenga and all other games. And Zach even makes breakfast pizza for them. Turns out he's a pretty good cook. As all this happens, Zoey realizes that Zach is great, so they opt to play Battletoad while Zach reads one of Zoey's books. And they have a really cool moment. When the McLarens return, Avery says she forgot something at the ski resort, so Zach and Zoey escort her to go find it. At the resort, Zach and Zoey start a snowball fight, and Zach ends up hitting Zoey in the head. He tries to resuscitate her with a kiss, and then he gets a deja vu of the time when he hit her with a soccer ball. After that, Zoey calls Elle and says she cannot do it anymore and she wants to come clean, but Elle advises against it and tells Zoey to lean into things with Zach. I mean, why not? Let's clap him as well. Next, we see Zoey and Zach on a couch, and Zoey tells him that he's full of surprises. He kisses her and calls her Zoey Wallace, which is the name of the other Zoey. She's sad and says that she hopes that they'll hang out when he gets his memory back. Zach is confused, at least pretending to be confused. The next day, the whole family returns home and the other Zoey meets up with them, and she's pissed. Zach gets his memory back suddenly, and our Zoey comes clean about everything. She's sad and then she leaves them. She goes back home and has a fight with Elle and blames her for the whole thing. And she even calls Elle's poem writing stupid. After that, she goes to the class and everyone starts gossiping about her. That how she could clap two cousins at the same time in a weekend. And perhaps got pregnant too. So she screams, "I'm not pregnant," and leaves. Eventually, Zoey goes back home and tells her mom everything. And her mom tells her not to worry about compatibility and to follow her heart. She goes back to school and she reads Elle a heartwarming poem. Then they make up. Make up as a friendship, not make up as a lesbians. Oh my god. Okay, next we see her in the field and Becca from the beginning of the film talks a little bit about herself and asks for Zoey's help to build a website for an upcoming party. Zoey agrees and she calls in the help of her maker buddies. She successfully builds the website, but she's all alone at the end of it. On the day of the party, Elle tries to get Zoey to come to the party, but Zoey says no and tells Elle to have a good time with the Diego. Elle goes to the party and has a blast with Diego and FaceTimes Zoey, who is watching the party live. After a while, Elle rushes home and tells her that Zach has broken up with the other Zoey and convinces her to try to make things work with Zach. So Zoey agrees and goes to the party in her pajamas. She takes the DJ's mic and calls out for Zach while everyone boos her for killing the vibe of the party. She meets Zach and confesses her feelings. Zach tells her that she's the reason he broke up with the other Zoey. I guess he tried both and came to this conclusion that this one is better. So they make out for real this time. This makeout is the one that you are expecting. This movie, talking about a soccer player with a full blue pair of balls in the whole movie. So subscribe and come back for more clapping. See ya.